Good morning, Jeff Light here with our daily look behind the news from the UT newsroom. This morning we're back with public safety editor Dana Littlefield with an update on the Zahau trial. So Dana, we've missed a bunch since we've been back here. We've seen the door with the cryptic message has been brought into the courtroom. There's been discussion of the knots that were used to tie Rebecca.
Yes.
So bring us up to date. Where do we stand? And then we'll also talk a little bit about our podcast where you can get caught up on a weekly basis.
Sounds good. So, we're now on, I believe it's day 6 of testimony in the trial. This is a civil case, a wrongful death lawsuit that was filed by the family of Rebecca Zahau, who died in 2011. Her body was found hanging. Her arms and feet were bound, and her body was found hanging from a balcony at the Spreckles mansion where she lived with her boyfriend, who you see behind us here in this photo, Jonah Shacknai. And so over the past few days, Zahau's family, the attorney has presented evidence related to how her body was tied, related to DNA evidence found at the scene. The plaintiff's attorneys here allege that it was Jonah's brother, Adam Shacknai, who is somehow responsible for this death, that he actually killed her, beat her, strangled her, and hanged the body. Obviously, Adam Shacknai denies this, and his attorney has been cross-examining the witnesses as they come up each day, trying to poke holes in what evidence is being presented. So a little bit about that evidence that has been presented thus far. So, so far this week, we have heard from witnesses, who examined the door, the bedroom door. There was a very cryptic message. Part of what kind of adds to the mystery of this case is this very strange message that was scrawled on a door in black paint. And that message was, "She saved him, can you save her?" So far, we don't know of any explanation as to what that message means. It's very odd, and it has a lot of wheels turning.
And do we know, and you might not know, is it on the inside of the door, on the bedroom side, or on the outside of the door?
I believe it's on the inside.
Inside of the door.
I believe it is. I have to double check that. But that door was actually brought into court for the jurors to see. You might see some smudges on the doors if you take a look at the photos that we've posted on our online story. That's from the forensic text, checking for fingerprint evidence and all of that. But the plaintiff's attorney brought in a handwriting expert to examine the lettering on the door. And essentially what was said was that they compared a couple of letters to Rebecca's handwriting, to Adam's handwriting. And basically what was said was that it was more likely that it was Adam who wrote that than Rebecca. However, that's not a definitive piece of testimony. The witness was not saying it definitely was Adam, just that it probably was more likely to be him than her.
Yeah, I thought and I guess it was the cross-examination there was pretty skillful, because he testified, between these two people, I, as an expert, believe it's more likely to be him.
Yes.
And then the question was, did you compare it to anybody else in the world? No.
Well,
no. So
Yeah, and also the the handwriting expert can't say, when those things were written or anything like that. So, it's not exactly clear when that message was painted on the door, and so that kind of makes this a little bit fuzzier evidence.
Weird.
Yes, it's a very strange thing. And so yesterday, one of the other witnesses who came in was an expert on, I guess I want to make sure I get how he described himself, forensic knot analyst. And so this person, his name was Lindsay Philpott. He came in to actually demonstrate on a mannequin how ropes were tied around the body, around the arms and the feet. The theory there, the testimony there, was that this expert believes that the hands and feet were actually bound together, in other words, hogtied.
Right.
But they were not found that way when the body was found.
That's super upsetting.
So we'll see what the plaintiff's attorney argues eventually about that. It suggests perhaps that that Rebecca Zahau tried to free herself from these knots, which the testimony has indicated were quite loose. Of course, this death was, after an investigation, deemed to be a suicide. And so the Sheriff's Department, which led that investigation, has said that she was able to bind herself. And they actually demonstrated in a news conference many years ago how she could have bound herself in this circumstance. So it's a very unusual case. A lot of eyes are on it. Our eyes are on it, and we'll see where the testimony takes us.
Oh my God, I just have no idea what to think here. It's so strange. Okay, so tell me just a little bit about where I can listen to this podcast.
So we have a podcast. It's called Under the Gavel. It's based on the reporting by Pauline Reppert, who is actually covering the trial for us for the Union-Tribune. Lauren Flynn is actually hosting the podcast, and we're giving you basically a weekly rundown of what happened in court every day. We are there every day. We are watching how the testimony unfolds. The link to the podcast or each episode will be on our on each story that we have. So that's where you can find it.
Yeah, or I could search in iTunes or other
search in iTunes as well.
Libraries.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I think that's it for today.
Okay.
Download the podcast. We'll see you back here tomorrow.